Okay, hello, welcome to the market briefing 15th of July 2016. I hope you can hear me clearly and you can see my charts in front of you. Obviously, first things we have to kick off, incredibly sad morning again, another atrocious attack in France. Just 8 months after 150 murders in Paris, and 1 week after the successful completion of a global sporting competition in France, everyone was worried about something happening then on Bastille Day, as I'm sure you are well aware now. Over 80 people have been murdered in Nice as a truck drove through a crowd of participants in the Bastille celebrations, France's national holiday. So it's incredibly devastating and worrying, and I think it really does add pressure for this time, our global climate. I just want to talk about sort of the larger themes here, which is something that I believe has happened for the last few years and is continuing to happen, is a, if you like, increase in nationalism, both to the left and to the right of the political sphere, and this type of event certainly does not help it at all. And in fact, this area of France is well known and popular with the National Front in France, with Marine Le Pen. And if you think about the further fallout that continued events like this, the more they happen, then the more people perhaps do want to do anything, do something that they can to try and stop it happening in the future. But it absolutely feels like, certainly in the West, we're quite powerless to do anything about this kind of event other than stay at home. So deeply concerning for future stability in the region. Talking about financial markets in terms of their reaction now, here, obviously you can see, as you would expect, everything in negative territory for France-specific groups. Not a huge amount. I mean, this is very much not a financial market event. It is specifically a cultural effect. However, one of the things about to say this is, this is on the French Riviera. It's the French tourist area. We're right in the peak of summer season, aren't we? And whether that will affect some of these, the travel companies in France, something to look out for, absolutely. Okay, so moving on from France and coming back closer to our shores, we had a shock surprise yesterday and a good trading opportunity yesterday from the Bank of England. I know you had a huge amount of preparatory material from this, from Amplify. We were all set, we were all prepared. Pierce even did the live stream saying, even though Carney has signalled that he might cut, we were clearly putting forward the idea that a cut would be an error, a cut would be regretted further down the line, given the fact that we don't know just how severe this whole Brexit fallout is going to be yet, and it would make much more sense if Carney held on to his gun slightly. So instantly in the pound, obviously just after touching pivot, there you've got the announcement, no cut in rates, and we had a huge spike higher all the way. Well, I mean, if you look at that on a Pointer Tools index, just one contract there, $1,500 on BP6. Huge spike higher, bursting through R1, bursting through R2. Then comes the news that despite not cutting this month, most, and this was the language, most MPC members see a cut happening next month in August. And that started creating some weight to come through. And we had a retest here of 132.86. Now, I was here sitting next to Pierce on the trading floor. I was getting long all the way down to this R1 level, sort of screaming as much as I could about how this would be an interesting level of support. It turned out that was really nice. Not only was it R1, it was also the test of the previous high as well. So nice move in cable there. Good trading opportunity in cable off Mark Carney. We've held on to these gains after finding support at R1. We've come back. We went all the way. Look at that. Can you see how well these technical levels are working, guys? You've got to have them on your chart. It isn't rocket science by any means, but it is it is useful. It's useful to try and have these type of trading setups on your charts in order to see exactly where other people, what levels are other people looking at. So that was the main news for cable yesterday. Large move. In equities, well, we've held on to our strength. We've held on to the gains that we've made all week. Asia had a positive session last night. And the S&P and Euro stocks, well, let's have a look at the S&P specifically. The S&P just can't sell off. I was trying to get short the S&P back on Wednesday when we had the oil data. Do you remember oil data coming out of the S&P? Much stronger than expected. The S&P finally started to move lower with oil. We tested the pivot at around 4:30 in the afternoon, but we just couldn't get below that. And it was yesterday morning that the S&P had a much stronger further push higher, and we're holding on to those gains. And can you see how important this level is, guys? 2152. 2152 in the S&P. You can see that. Just unable to get below it this morning. So stocks still firm, the pound stronger. Apart from those French specific tourist stocks, very little reaction in other equity markets to this horrendous terrorist event. One of the things I was alerted to this morning, just changing the subject slightly, is something that the Bloomberg Institute launched just 1 month ago. Just 1 week ago. Let me log in here. And a lot of work that I do with our traders here at Amplify Trading is on behavior, is on trading psychology. One of the things that used to frustrate perhaps people that I used to trade with when I started was the fact that I was able to see patterns and setups that perhaps others couldn't, or they could but weren't able to act on them. And I really like this new project put forward by Rethink Group. Guys, before the data, I'll talk about the data we're expecting today in a moment, but you might want to register and give this a go. This is one of the most interesting studies I've seen here, where what it's asking you to do, if we start here, you're shown a random movement of shapes. You've got two triangles, you've got a circle, two triangles and a circle. And what it's asking you is, in which way will now the big triangle move? Well, here's a test. I haven't done this one yet. Well, I think it'll move sort of in towards the box, sort of down and left. Well, let's go for down. Correct. So the triangle moved down. Now, I don't know why I knew that the triangle would move down. I don't know how I knew that, but it's just looking at patterns of shapes. It's looking at patterns of movement and trying to predict the next move. Which way will the little triangle now move? I don't know. Okay, yep, to the big triangle. Okay, and it's almost, I'd want to describe this, it's not guessing. Well, it is guessing, but it's guessing based on recognition of patterns that you're seeing. And I absolutely, and the whole of my trading career has been based on this type of pattern recognition, this type of confident action based on what you're seeing in front of you. However, if you're to actually explain why you think the little triangle now might move to the right, if you're to actually explain why I thought that, whereas it moves up, if you're to explain why you thought that, it's hard to know. So I think this is a really interesting psychology exercise. So the link's in the room. It's just a week old. It's been provided by the Rethink Group, who've done a huge amount of research on how we think, how we take decisions, and how we recognize patterns. And well, I'm going to continue checking this out today. I suggest you do, but it's absolutely at the moment something I'd like to incorporate with the training of our new traders, just to try and help people recognize. I mean, sometimes we have new traders who are there saying, well, what about the third test of the support of R1? Or what about we're trying to always quantify and narrow the patterns that we're looking at, but sometimes it's trading opportunities come from being very fluid and being able to look at trying to predict future patterns purely from how we're seeing the ladders move and how we're seeing the prices move in front of us. Give it a go, please. Do have a look. Let me know how you get on. So equities holding on to their gains. Risk assets holding on to their gains. If I go and have a look at some debt markets now, we are trading on the back foot on the Bund. Yes, the Bund can sell off. Absolute key level to look out for in the Bund is the June high, guys, which has also been support throughout the end of June and coming in within July as well. So that's 165.71. Keep an eye on the Bund. Risk assets off. Still gold looking slightly on the back foot still with these equity market gains. T-notes, let me just bring up T-notes. Following the Bund in a range for this morning around 132.06, but I do expect, should equity markets be able to hold on to their strength today, I do expect fixed income to continue to move lower. Now, just to stress, it can quite be possible, despite tourist stocks in France being hit today, that doesn't by any way mean that the indices have to move lower. We've had an incredibly bullish week. There's incredibly bullish sentiment out there outside of these horrendous terrorist attacks, and certainly the Euro stocks pushing above the highs. Just have a quick look at the data then, guys, that we've got coming out today. It's on your trading live sheet, of course, but please do open up your data account. It's busy. We've got the majority of market news coming out this morning. In fact, in just over an hour, we've got a plethora of European data. Let me just put the link in the room as I go through this one moment. Sorry, 1 second, please. Okay, so what have we got? We've got the consumer price index coming out at 10 o'clock, medium level of importance, so keep an eye on that at 10 o'clock, just over an hour's time. Bank of England, Mark Carney, speaks again at 1 p.m. Now, it's got a medium level of importance, but given the significance of what happened yesterday, that will absolutely be worth keeping an eye on. So that's at 1 o'clock. So you've got a bit of a gap between 10 and 1:30 to get on your Bloomberg psychology tests, please. 1:30 then we've got the US current account numbers, but really it's all about the retail sales month on month, consensus of 0.1%. US retail sales consensus of 0.1%. The previous was 0.5%, so already this is showing quite a drop. Should that go into negative territory for US retail sales, should that go into negative territory, then we do, I think, sentiment going into the weekend will be damaged. After last month's strong non-farm payrolls, we do have slightly less dovish trend on the table. If I look here at what trading economics are showing us for the trend in retail sales here, it's oscillating around that 0 mark, isn't it? So we're expecting it just to be 0.1. So it's interesting, isn't it? Retail sales in the US just can't seem to take a break. We had that nice print back for April's data, 1.3, but since then we've only been above 1.5 once. So we're not expecting great data out of US retail sales, but again, as I said, negative territory will bring back the doves, will bring back the dollar weakness, will perhaps make the stock rally that we've seen just stumble slightly. Consumer price index, inflation data coming out at the same time at 1:30, before at 3 o'clock. Now they've only got this as medium level or low level of importance for Michigan consumer sentiment. I have to look into that. I would have thought this would be more important at 3 o'clock this afternoon. So it's been a very light week for data, guys. It's been a very light week for fundamental economic data after the strong print of non-farm payrolls on Friday. But today we're going to catch up with the US and see how the US has been done in the latest set. I even forgot to mention New York Empire State Manufacturing, also out at 1:30. So 10 o'clock European data, 1 o'clock Mark Carney, 1:30 we've got the plethora then. It's Empire State Manufacturing, retail sales, all coming out at the same time before the 3 p.m. Michigan consumer confidence data. all is quiet at the moment. We'll just put it back on the news, see any more fallout from France. Hollande has already said the French military are going to significantly up their activity in Iran and Syria as a result of yesterday's activity. So watch this space. We'll keep you posted. That's it from me this morning, guys. Have a good session. Have a good day.
Had that much impact on popularity. Popularity is linked to the